Welcome back, everybody, to the Cleveland Guardians franchise here on MLB The Show 22. We have now made it past the All-Star break and have entered the second half of the season. So far, this year has gotten off to a pretty good start for the most part, as we are 59-39 and currently in first place of the division. We're also going to get through the trade deadline today, and unfortunately, we are broke, about $4 million in the red, so we likely will not have a very busy trade deadline. As it stands now, we are currently in first place in the division as we look at the standings across the majors. The Yankees lead the East by a lot. We're in a very close race in the Central with the Twins, White Sox, and to a lesser extent, the Tigers. And then the AL West is like a big mishmash of teams fighting for spots. Currently, the Rangers and Angels are tied, with the Mariners and Astros both still in the race. Currently, the Twins and White Sox look like the wild cards in the American League, so clearly our division is by far the best in the AL. As for the NL, the Braves, Brewers, and Dodgers lead their divisions respectively, while the Cubs and Padres hold the wild card spots with the Phillies, Marlins, and Cardinals right in the race, all within 2.5 games. So the big story of this year has been our offense producing really well. We had the best offense in baseball last year, and I think our offense has been slightly worse this year, but still really, really good. And the pitching has been, for the most part, not good. The rotation has been just flat out terrible, and as much as I would love to acquire a starting pitcher at the deadline, we are broke, and thus we cannot do that. The bullpen has been solid for the most part. We've got guys like Camilo Doval pitching really well. Emmanuel Clase made his 5th straight All-Star team. But the middle of the bullpen's been very inconsistent, and we don't have a ton of guys in the farm system who are ready, which is a problem because, well, the guys in the majors aren't all that good as is. I want to play against the Dodgers, so we'll simulate 3 against the Tigers. We end up going 2-1. The notable thing here is that Shane Bieber pitched an 8-inning outing, only allowing 1 run. Good to see him pitching well. Good to see that he still owns the Detroit Tigers, as we need to see him pitching well. He had an ERA in the 5s through the first half of the year, and with him being our ace, that is just flat out unacceptable. He's got to pitch better. We simulate the first game against the Dodgers. We lose it. I really wanted to play this second one because I want to get a look at Max Fried. For those who don't remember, Max Fried was on our World Series championship team a couple of seasons ago. We acquired him at the trade deadline from the Atlanta Braves, along with Dansby Swanson, in exchange for guys like Cal Quantrill, Andres Jimenez, and another prospect. I want to take a look at how Fried is doing because if you remember, we wanted to bring him back. We offered him an extension that offseason, but he ultimately chose a longer deal with the Dodgers. Here's a look at both lineups, and now we'll look at Max Fried, who this year has been average to below average, I guess. He's pitching like the rest of our staff, which I would consider underwhelming. So maybe we dodged a bullet by signing John Means instead of him, with Means being slightly cheaper and slightly better. Ketel Marte is up with 2 away. He rips it down the line and fair for what looks like an extra base hit, as he will round first and waltz into second for a double. Ketel Marte was one of Cleveland's 4 All-Stars this year, along with Jose Ramirez, who is up now, Kyle Lewis, and of course Emmanuel Clase. Ramirez belted into right field for a hit. Marte's going to look to round third and head to the plate as he slides in safely, and the Guardians take a 1-0 lead off of the RBI single by Jose Ramirez. On the mound today for Cleveland is Hunter Greene, who's been disappointing this year after a great season last year. 4.74 ERA, 1.52 whip. He's got a tall task today against a really good Dodgers lineup led by Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who has 39 home runs this year. That's a lot. His OPS is right around like 1,100. Him and Juan Soto on the Nationals are having a generational MVP race as Guerrero nearly gets that one over the fence, but it is caught at the warning track by Jesus Sanchez. Cleveland leads 1-0 through the first. Pretty good start as we go into the second. Alvaro Pena is up. He's going to draw a walk, so Pena is aboard to start the inning off as the Guardians look to add some more runs early. Dansby Swanson rips it into left for a single. As we mentioned earlier, Swanson was in the Max Fried trade a couple years ago. Fried was the big piece in that deal, but obviously Swanson has stuck around longer. Cleveland won't score in this inning as Zane Rowley goes down looking. Good way to end the inning by Fried, but he has allowed quite a few base runners here through the first couple of innings. Into the bottom of the second, Will Smith, the Fresh Prince of Los Angeles, goes down on the slider. Good pitch by Hunter Greene, who is not a lot of base runner yet until now. Josh Lowe hits this one into the gap out in left center. That one looks like it'll go for extra bases as he will end up at second for a double. The Dodgers now the runner in scoring position. We'll see if they can look to drive this runner home with 2 away. David Dahl strikes out on the slider. Good pitch by Green. He gets through the bottom of the second with little issue as it remains 1-0 in favor of the Guardians. Into the third, the lefty killer Ramon Romero leads it off, and he's going to draw a walk. I don't blame Max Fried to not wanting to throw to him, considering Romero has 99 contact against left-handed pitching. Ketel Marte also has 99 contact against lefties. He had a double on his first at-bat, and this time he hits it high and deep into the right field corner. It has a chance, and it just misses the fence, but it will bounce over for a ground rule double, and now the Guardians have 2 runners in scoring position. Nearly a home run with the short fence out in right, but it just didn't have the carry by mere feet. But there's 2 runners aboard for Jose Ramirez, who strikes out for the first out of the inning. Again, Max Fried has himself in a jam. He's got to get himself out of it as he faces off against the outfielder Kyle Lewis. Made his second straight All-Star team this year, and he goes down on the slider. So after starting the inning with 2 runners in scoring position, Cleveland now is down to their final out in this inning. They've got to look to drive him in. It's Alvaro Pena. He hits this one high and deep into center field. Back at the track, at the wall, it is gone. 3-run homer for Alvaro Pena, his 8th of the year, and the Guardians lead it 4-0. That ball went a mile a minute, nearly 430 feet. An absolute nuke for the 20-year-old third baseman Alvaro Pena, as the Guardians appear to have control early in this game. Into the bottom of the third, Sal Frelick, the leadoff man, grounds it past Ketel Marte, and that'll go for a base hit into center. The Dodgers have themselves a runner aboard here with 2 away as they look to drive them in with the young infielder Gavin Lux up to the plate, but he goes down on the outside curveball. 3 scoreless for Hunter Green. He's pitching really well here in his first start since the All-Star break. Hopefully he can keep it up, because after the season he had last year, the Guardians had All-Star and even Cy Young aspirations for him. Into the fourth, Dansby Swanson thought that was a walk, but Angel Hernandez behind the plate says otherwise. Bottom 4, same score. Freddie Freeman is up with 1 away. Hits it nicely into center field. That one looks like it'll go for a double. So with 1 away, old reliable Freddie Freeman is in scoring position as the Dodgers look to get on the board. Their offense has been pretty disappointing today. They haven't gotten anybody across. 2 away for Josh Lowe, grounds it to first. Jose Ramirez fields it cleanly for the third and final out of the inning. So it still remains 4-0. Hunter Green is pitching really well against a really, really good lineup. We'll see if the Guardians can keep this lead going and possibly look to extend it as we move into the 5th. Max Fried still in the ball game here with 2 away as he faces off against Jose Ramirez. He's going to belt this one into right field for his second base hit of the day. This one looks like it could go for extras as Ramirez will end up at second with a double. We'll see if Kyle Lewis can drive them in and look to have the Guardians up by even more. So it will not be against Max Fried. He is taken out of the game and will be replaced by the long reliever Paul Blackburn, who's been fine this year. Not terrible, but not really good either. The 2-2 pitch for Lewis, swinging in this on the cutter. So Paul Blackburn gets through the inning with no issue. I guess I should say the out with no issue. As we go to the bottom of the 5th, David Dahl rips it into the outfield looking for extra bases. Lewis gets over to it gingerly as Dahl's going to round second, head to third. Bad throw to the cutoff man, Pena. And Dahl is safe at third with a no-out triple. The Dodgers haven't been able to score anybody yet, but they now have a runner 90 feet away from home for the former Guardian Tyler Freeman, who flies out to center. Lewis with a strike to the plate, and it's just not in time. That was so close. So Tyler Freeman, who was acquired mid-season from the Orioles, drives in a run despite a great throw by Lewis. Sal Frelick goes down looking on the fastball. That'll end the 5th. The Dodgers do get a run, but Cleveland still leads comfortably 4-1. Paul Blackburn remains in the game as he faces off against Dansby Swanson. He hits this one high and deep in the left center field, and it is caught. So no damage done here in the top of the 6th. Good work from Blackburn. Bottom 6, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hits a single up the middle. Vlad and Cleveland kind of have a rivalry because the Guardians and Blue Jays have been rivals the past couple of years. Vlad was the best player on those Blue Jays teams. It's a shame Vlad left now that that rivalry is dead because Toronto stinks since, well, they don't have Vlad. Will Smith flies out to left. That'll end the sixth. That could end Hunter Green's day. 6 innings, 1 earned if it does. And at the bottom of the seventh, Green will stay in as he gets Josh Lowe to go down looking to start off the inning. Good opener. 2 away now for Tyler Freeman. He hits it well into left center field, and that one will drop for, it looks like, extra bases as Freeman will advance to second with a double. So the decision now is, do you stick with Hunter Green or do you go to the bullpen? And Cleveland's going to go to the pen. Camilo Duvall will enter the game when you need to get out of the jam. Camilo Duvall is your guy. He's got a 2.14 ERA this year. He has been fantastic. He absolutely should have made the All-Star game, and it looks like he's going to get out of this inning without a whole lot of issue, forcing a fly out into left as it's caught by Jesus Sanchez. Still 4-1 going into the eighth. Cleveland's offense has not scored since the third inning. We'll see if they can add some more runs. Ketel Marte leads the inning off. This ball is crushed into right. If it's fair, it's gone, and it's just foul by around 6.5 feet. So Marte gets unlucky. Few pitches later, count is full, and Marte will belt it up the middle for a single. Not exactly a homer, but still productive. So Marte leads off the inning with a base hit, and Cleveland has themselves an early base runner. Paul Blackburn's still in the game. He's getting close to 50 pitches as he allows a walk to Jose Ramirez. Got to assume the Dodgers could make a pitching change soon, as they would not here. Kyle Lewis draws a walk, and Blackburn has now loaded the bases with Cleveland's 3 all-star hitters aboard. That'll bring up Alvaro Pena with Blackburn still in the game as Pena belts it up the middle into center. 1 run scores, a second run joins him. 2-run single for Alvaro Pena, who has driven in 5 of Cleveland's 6 runs today, and the Guardians take a 6-1 lead. From there, a new pitcher would enter the game. It's Sean Newcomb as he allows a walk to Jesus Sanchez. The bases are loaded again, still with nobody out. This inning could quickly turn into a disaster for the Dodgers as Dansby Swanson strikes out. Finally, LA gets an out. We'll see if they can get a couple more as with 2 away, Rowley pops it up behind the plate. Will Smith makes the catch. So the Guardians leave the bases loaded, but they also score 2. So it's not a total disaster. Camilo Duvall remains in the game here in the 8th as he allows a single to Sal Frelick. Duvall, of course, started his professional career in California with the San Francisco Giants before being traded a number of off seasons ago at this point to Cleveland. Gavin Lux then goes down on the fastball. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with 1 away grounds it to short. Swanson to Marte to Ramirez. It's a 6-4-3 inning-ending double play. Through 8, the Guardians lead this one comfortably 6-1. Michael King is now in for the Dodgers. He's had a great season so far, 1.85 ERA. Trying to keep it going as he faces off against Ramon Ramiro. Hasn't done a whole lot against the lefties today, and ironically, gets a big hit here against the righty. As Ramiro will walk into second with a double. The Guardians lead comfortably, but they want to build some insurance. They know this Dodgers lineup can erupt at any moment. Well, unfortunately, the Guardians will not add any more runs as Kyle Lewis strikes out. Good inning from King, and that'll bring us to the bottom of the 9th. Ryan Weathers will enter for Cleveland, another guy who opened up his professional debut in California with the San Diego Padres. 2.59 ERA for the blonde-haired bandit as he looks to get through the inning with no issue. Runner on first, 2 away for Dull. He grounds it out to Marte, over to Ramirez, and the Cleveland Guardians win it. Final score is 6-1. So the Guardians and Dodgers split a game here in this short 2-game series in LA. Overall, a really solid win today. The pitching was fantastic. The offense wasn't great, but they were certainly good enough. 6 runs is usually more than enough to win. 6 runs, 9 hits. Nice. Alvaro Pena was the star of the show as he drove in 5 runs, going 2 for 3 with a homer and a 2-run single. And then the pitching was great. Hunter Green with one of his best outings of the year. The bullpen finished off strong. The Dodgers lineup really could not do a whole lot today. So let's now skip over to the trade deadline. We've got 2 series upcoming against Seattle and Minnesota, the latter of which is very important. So the White Sox are making some big moves. They acquire Jose Alvarado from the Pirates, and then they make a splash here with Cavan Biggio from Toronto, sending over Michael Harris. So clearly the White Sox are trying to win this division by making some big-time moves as we lose 2 of 3 against Seattle, but we sweep Minnesota. That's a big deal. We're now 3.5 games ahead of the Twins, 6 ahead of the White Sox here with just days before the trade deadline. Obviously, we are in the red by about $4 million. So presumably, we're going to have to trade somebody who makes more than $4 million if we want to make a deal. The problem is, somebody like Dansby Swanson here, the budget is still red. We would actually have to trade somebody making at least $11 million in order for this to work, which really lets our options low. And, well, because of that, we're not going to make any moves here at the deadline, unfortunately. However, I did notice an interesting player on waivers, and that's Justin Dunn, who's had a really good season out of the bullpen for San Diego. I don't know why they're putting him on waivers, but he's been playing well, so I figured, you know what? Why not put a claim on him and see what happens? Hopefully we can add him to the pitching staff, because he would be an upgrade to some of the goofballs we currently have in the bullpen. So let's simulate through this 4-game stretch in Houston against the surprisingly red-hot Astros after their poor start, as the Rangers acquire Garrett Crochet from Tampa Bay. The Rangers are one of 4 teams in the AL West race, and they clearly look like they're going for it, along with the Mariners, who acquire Andrew Benintendi from the Royals. So we did fine against the Astros, putting us at 68-45, 3.5 games ahead of the Twins, and we are about to play them in Minnesota for a 3-game set. So if we can perform well here, that could be a big deal. Unfortunately, the Athletics ended up claiming Justin Dunn, so he will not be joining us, and we officially make no moves here at the trade deadline. Obviously, it sucks that we were not able to add another pitcher to the rotation or the bullpen, but that's what we get for locking up some of our younger guys like Hunter Green, Ramon Ramiro, and Zane Rowley early on large contracts. Obviously, if I had known this would have been the outcome, maybe I would not have offered 1 or 2 of those deals, because I think I focused too much on the long-term financial flexibility, and I didn't really worry about the short-term flexibility, which is obviously biting us in the rear end. So as we look at the standings in the AL Central, we can really get some control here if we perform well in these 3 games in Minnesota against the Twins. We have 1 more series against the Twins at home in late August for what it's worth. Here's a look at both lineups, 1-9. On the mound for the Twins is Edward Cabrera, a former member of our farm system. Cabrera has really broken out here at the Twins. He has now earned a spot in the rotation, making his 4th start of the year. We'll see how he can do against a talented Cleveland lineup. Zane Rowley leads it off, 1-2 pitch. Rowley swings at a low circle change well out of the zone, grounded to short, and they will make the play in time. Rowley does not beat out the throw, but the manager, Giovanni Cabrera, believes otherwise. This play is going to be challenged. And as we look at the replay, I think that ball is in Joey Votto's glove before Zane Rowley tags the base. So this play will stand, and the Cleveland Guardians will unfortunately lose their challenge. And there you go. The play is going to be upheld. Zane Rowley is out. 2 away now for Ketel Marte. He's been hitting the ball really well since the All-Star break, as this one is high and deep into center field, and it is gone. Solo home run for Ketel Marte, and the Cleveland Guardians take a 1-0 lead to open up the ballgame. Marte with his 21st homer of the year, 434 feet. And so that'll bring up Jose Ramirez, who's also hitting the ball really well since the All-Star break. He hits this one high and deep into left center field, and it is gone into the bullpen. Back-to-back home runs, this time from Jose Ramirez, and Cleveland takes a 2-0 lead. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Kyle Lewis. Count is 2-2, and Lewis hits this one high and deep into right field, and that baby is gone. Back-to-back-to-back home runs from Cleveland's 3 All-Star position players. Into the bottom of the first, it'll be John Means starting for Cleveland. Means has been the Guardians' best starting pitcher this year. Not that that says a whole lot, because our pitching has been a total disaster. He's just been less of a disaster than anybody else. We're actually going to enter the bottom of the second. Same score, 2 away. Jeremiah Jackson grounds out to short. John Means with 2 perfect innings so far, looking good early as we move into the third. Ketel Marte homered in his last at-bat, hoping to do some more damage here as he draws a walk. I wouldn't want to throw to him too, Edward. I do not blame you. That will bring up Jose Ramirez. He also homered in his last at-bat, and he gets plunked. Again, I do not blame you, Edward, for not wanting to throw to him. 2 on, 2 away now for the first baseman, Josh Bell. He will draw a walk. So Cleveland loads the bases without getting a base hit. A walk, a hit by pitch, and a walk puts these 3 runners on for Jesus Sanchez. Cabrera at 69 pitches. Nice. As Sanchez draws a walk, that'll score Marte, and it's 4-0. Edward Cabrera right now cannot find the strike zone. That'll bring up Ramon Ramiro with the bases loaded. Flies out over to center. It is caught by Ian Happ. So the Guardians leave the bases loaded, but still a really rough inning for Edward Cabrera as the Guardians are ahead 4-0. Into the bottom of the third now. We'll see if Minnesota's offense can get anything going. The catcher, Chiyoko Chakanawara, who's had a great season at the plate for Minnesota, singles into right. So the Twins have themselves their first base runner of the day, finally. Joey Votto is up, the possible future Hall of Famer. Grounds it to Ramiro, to Marte to Bell. 4-6-3, inning-ending double play as it remains 4-0 into the top of the fourth. The catcher, Luis Campusano, is already 1 for 1 today. Going to look to make it 2 for 2 as he will single into center. So Campusano is aboard. Got to assume there's some action in the Minnesota bullpen. Edward Cabrera, it's just not been his day today. So that'll bring up Ketel Marte now 2 away. New pitcher in the game. It's Justice Sheffield for Minnesota, the line reliever replacing Cabrera as Marte singles into right. So now there are 2 runners aboard here and a big opportunity for Jose Ramirez hitting from the right side of the plate. He goes down looking on the sinker. That pitch was a beauty right down the middle. I don't really know what he was waiting for there. He should have taken a swing. Into the bottom of the fourth, Yordan Alvarez will rip it into right for a base hit. Yordan Alvarez was signed to a massive contract in the offseason by Minnesota, and that decision so far has paid dividends. He has completely flipped around their organization's trajectory of winning as Ian Happ strikes out to end the inning. 4 scoreless for John Means. He's pitching really well today. Into the fifth, here's Kyle Lewis. He hits this one well into right center field. That one looks like it can go for extra bases as Lewis will stand up at second for a double. Obviously, he homered earlier, so now he's making another really big play early in this ball game. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez, who swings and misses at the low slider. That was a pretty bad pitch. I don't know why he swung. That'll bring up Ramon Ramiro now. Another kind of bad pitch out of the zone. And what a play by Jeremiah Jackson with a barehanded throw over to first base as it remains 4-0. Great defensive play by Jackson, who is up here in the bottom of the fifth, and he's going to get a big offensive play. This one is hit nicely into right center field. That one looks like it'll go for a double as Sanchez fields it cleanly, but not before Jackson will advance to second. So with 1 away, the Twins have the runner in scoring position. 2 away now for Luis Garcia. He's going to ground it to first. Bell deflects it and flips it over to Means for the final out of the inning. Josh Bell deflecting that ball probably saves a run, maybe more, because who knows what domino effect could have happened throughout the rest of the inning. Still 4-0 as we go into the sixth. Luis Campusano's had a nice day. He's 2 for 2. Got to add another hit to the repertoire. 3 for 3 with a trio of singles. All a very productive day in the office for Campusano as he will start the inning off aboard with a hit. That'll bring up Zane Rowley now. He has not had a productive day. 0 for 3 as he gets plunked. So the Guardians open up the sixth inning here with a couple of early base runners. We'll see if either of these guys will score. George Valera is now up, and he goes down looking on the slider. That pitch was a beauty, a hanging pitch down the middle. He could have really capitalized it there, but instead he goes down looking. 2-2 now for Marte. He also goes down looking. That pitch, meanwhile, looked a lot more inside. I think that was a bad call. But the umpire. Count is 2-2 now for Jose Ramirez with 2-1 and 2 out. Grounds it over to third, fielded cleanly, and the throw to first is offline. A throwing error from the Minnesota Twins. And that'll keep the inning alive. It's Kyle Lewis who's now up with the bases loaded, 2 away, full count. Hits this one into shallow left center, and it's going to drop for a hit. Minnesota gets over to it slowly. That's going to be a 2-run double. It looked like it should have been a routine flyout, but Yordan Alvarez does not get to it quick enough out and left. And that's going to drive in 2 runs. As we look at it again, that was kind of hitting the awkward part between left and center. I think that's why the Astros were not able to make the play. In the bottom of the sixth, Joey Votto leads off the inning with a strikeout. Ragnar Eriksson now up for Minnesota, and he joins Votto in strikeout land. Through 6, the score is 6-0. Cleveland again with a really strong game. The offense is producing. The pitching has been fantastic from John Means. Into the 7th, Jesus Sanchez draws a walk. The Guardians have had really good discipline today. Minnesota really cannot consistently find the strike zone. Oh my God, Ramon Ramiro's bat flew into the stands. I could have killed somebody. Good Lord. Following pitch, 1-2. Ramirez belts it up the middle. Sheffield over to second, and that'll be a double play. One might say that's karma for nearly ripping someone's heads off with the bat flying into the stand. 2 away now for Luis Campusano. He hits it high and deep into left field, and that one is gone. A solo home run for the catcher, Luis Campusano. and it is now a 7-0 ball game. Campusano is now 4 for 4 on the day as Johan Duran is now in for Minnesota. He has not been good this year. 6.62 ERA. That's bad. He'll face off against Zane Rowley, who belts this one into center, and it is going to be caught. Ramon Laureano with an incredible defensive play to wrap up the inning. Wow. Cleveland does score a run with the homer by Luis Campusano, but still, what a play by Ramon Laureano. 7-0 through 7. Ramon Laureano's up here in the bottom of the 7th, and he will weakly hit it barely out of the infield, called by Marte. 7 scoreless innings now for John Means, continuing to have himself a night. Into the bottom of the 8th, Means remains in the game as he faces off against Jeremiah Jackson, who grounds it to second. Ramiro deflects it, but he will not make the throw in time, so Jackson opens up the inning on base. Put on your rally caps, kids, or maybe not. With 2 away, Votto grounds it to Ramiro. He flips it over to Marte. 8 scoreless innings now for John Means. Is Cleveland going to keep him out for the 9th? Well, you'll have to find out shortly. Jesus Sanchez leads off the bottom of the 9th with a base hit, nearly ripping Johan Duran's head off, but he missed him, thankfully, and he is aboard. That'll bring up Luis Campusano. He's 4 for 4. He homered in his last at-bat. Campusano hits this one high and deep into right center field. Go, ball, go! It is gone! A career night for Luis Campusano. 5 for 5 with a pair of homers, and it is now 9-0. That's his 11th of the year. Of course, he had his 10th just moments ago. Into the bottom of the 9th, Austin Martin singles into right. So the Twins start the inning with a base runner. As you can see, John Means still in the ball game. He's going for the complete game shutout as he faces off against Yordan Alvarez, who finally gets a base hit. Sanchez could have tried to dive and make that catch, but I feel like that was a little bit too risky. If that ball gets by him, a run scores. Who knows? Maybe 2. I know Alvarez isn't fast, but it's possible. Runners on the corners, 1 away for Ian Happ. He hits it nicely into right field. This one could go for extra bases. The shutout is no more. It's an RBI double for Ian Happ, and the Twins cut the lead down, making it 9-1. So now that the Guardians have allowed a run, I think it's time to take John Means out of the game. He'll be replaced by Michael McGreevy, who will look to finish it off here for the Guardians. 4.34 ERA and around 66 innings of work as Ramon Laureano skies it into center. Jesus Sanchez makes it over to the track. He will catch it, but Yordan Alvarez will score, and it is now 9-2. Certainly an uphill battle up ahead here for Minnesota as they're down to their final strike. It's Jeremiah Jackson. Swinging a miss on the slider, and the Guardians win it 9-2. Another really strong victory today from Cleveland. The offense produced. The pitching was fantastic. Overall, a really sound and clean victory today for Cleveland. The offense was led by the back-to-back-to-back homers in the first from Marte, Ramirez, and Lewis. And then Luis Campusano, what a night. 5 for 5, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. Really good to see him hitting the ball well because he hasn't exactly developed into the star that we hoped he would, but he was able to show the glimpse of that today. On the mound, John Means was great. He had a shutout going into the bottom of the 9th. Unfortunately, he couldn't hold it, but we were able to get McGreevy to finish off the game. So a strong win here for us. We're going to simulate these next few weeks, wrapping up the series against Minnesota. Then we play against KC, the Angels, Tigers, Red Sox, and Rockies. Other than the Angels and Tigers, the other 3 teams there, the Royals, Rockies, and Red Sox, are all pretty bad. The 3 R's all stink. Before we find out how we do, I do have some quick orders of business in terms of contracts. Jose Ramirez is going to sign a 3-year extension, and Emmanuel Clase will sign a 2-year extension. Both players would have been free agents in the offseason, but now they are back. We ended up doing pretty well in the games we simulated. We only took 1 of 3 against Kansas City. We split with the Angels, took 2 against the Tigers, swept Boston, and then got swept by the Rockies in a World Series rematch from a couple years ago. So at this point, there's just about 1 month left in the season. We're 79-53, only 2 games ahead of Minnesota. At this point, it looks like a 2-team race. The White Sox have completely fallen out of it. The Tigers aren't making up much ground, so it's really us and the Twins, and we have our final series against them coming up next in the following episode. So we've got to perform well there, or else we may not position ourselves to win the division going into the month of September. That'll wrap up the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.